Let's get right into it. Number 9. The whistleblower who froze out Russia. Grigory Rodchenkov single-handedly got Russia banned from the Olympics. As the director of Russia's anti-doping laboratory, the man in charge of catching cheaters was actually helping them cheat. He developed the Duchess cocktail, a mix of 3 different steroids dissolved in alcohol. The men took it with Chivas whiskey, the women with martini vermouth. During the 2014 Sochi Olympics, Russian intelligence agents were sneaking into the testing lab through a secret hole in the wall. They were swapping dirty urine samples for clean ones in the middle of the night. The FSB even figured out how to open tamper-proof bottles that were supposed to be impossible to open without breaking them. They spent years practicing how to do it without leaving a trace. In 2015, Rodchenkov fled to America with a hard drive full of evidence. 2 of his colleagues died mysteriously within weeks of each other. Rodchenkov ended up in witness protection, forced to say goodbye to his old life forever. His revelations led to Russia being banned from competing under its flag at the Olympics. No Russian anthem, no Russian flag, just neutral athletes in bland uniforms. The whole story became a documentary called Icarus, which won an Oscar. Number 8. The goalkeeper who faked an injury. It's September 3, 1989, and Chile is playing against Brazil in a crucial World Cup qualifier. Brazil is winning 1-0, and Chile is desperate. Suddenly, a flare lands near Roberto Rojas, the Chilean goalkeeper. He falls to the ground, clutching his head, blood streaming down his face. The Chilean team immediately storms off the field, refusing to continue the match. They claim their goalkeeper was attacked by Brazilian fans, but a photographer in the crowd had a really good camera, and when the photos were developed, something didn't add up. The flare landed nowhere near Rojas. In fact, it was a good meter away from him. Then doctors examined his wound. This wasn't a burn from a flare. This was a clean cut. Rojas had hidden a small razor blade in his goalkeeper glove. When the flare landed nearby, he saw his opportunity. He cut himself, fell to the ground, and gave the performance of his life. The whole thing was planned. The Chilean coach was in on it. FIFA banned Rojas for life, and in an unprecedented move, they banned the entire Chilean national team from the 1994 World Cup qualifiers. One goalkeeper with a razor blade got his entire country banned from the World Cup. Number 7. The Invader who got Iraq banned from selling oil. In 1990, Saddam Hussein decided to invade Kuwait. Iraq had just finished an expensive war with Iran, and Kuwait was looking very attractive with all its oil fields. Instead of negotiating, he sent 100,000 troops to take it all. The United Nations responded with Resolution 661, which banned the entire world from buying Iraqi oil. Iraq was sitting on the world's second-largest oil reserves at the time. That's like having a swimming pool full of money but being unable to spend any of it. The ban was so strict that selling a single barrel of oil could get you in serious trouble. Iraq's economy, which was 95% dependent on oil exports, collapsed overnight. The Iraqi dinar went from being worth over $3 to being practically worthless. The ban lasted until 1995 when the UN finally allowed Iraq to sell some oil through their Oil for Food program. But even then, they could only use the money to buy food and medicine. Number 6. The despot who got Nigeria expelled. Nigerian dictator Sani Abacha got his entire country kicked out of the British Commonwealth in 1995. Kensaro Wiwa, a writer and environmental activist, started speaking up about how oil companies were destroying his homeland. Rivers were getting polluted, farms were being destroyed, and the local people are getting sick. Instead of fixing the problem, Abacha decided to fix the person pointing out the problem. He had Sarowiwa arrested on fabricated murder charges. The trial was a joke, with witnesses later admitting they were bribed to give false testimony. Some of the defense lawyers quit in protest, calling it a kangaroo court. On November 10, 1995, despite global protests from world leaders, Sarowiwa and 8 other activists were hanged. This wasn't just an execution, it was a message to anyone who dared speak up against the regime. Within hours, Nigeria was suspended from the powerful international organization. World leaders were furious. Even Nelson Mandela called Abacha a brutal dictator and demanded sanctions. Nigeria was only readmitted in 1999 after Abacha's death. Number 5. The Autocrat who got Belarus banned from European airspace. In May 2021, Belarus's President Alexander Lukashenko pulled what might be the most expensive arrest in history. A journalist named Roman Protasevich was on a Ryanair flight from Athens to Lithuania. Lukashenko wasn't a fan of his work because Roman kept pointing out how Lukashenko's government was undemocratic, so Lukashenko sent a fighter jet to force the commercial airplane to land, claiming there was a bomb threat. There was no bomb. The plane landed in Minsk, and authorities boarded the plane to arrest Roman and his girlfriend. The European Union was not thrilled about a country hijacking a passenger plane to arrest a journalist. They responded by banning all Belarusian planes from EU airspace and ordering EU planes to avoid Belarus entirely. This cost Belarus millions in lost revenue from air traffic fees and effectively turned the country into the North Korea of Europe, just to arrest one journalist. Number 4. The architect of apartheid who got South Africa banned from the Olympics. Hendrik Verwoerd, Prime Minister of South Africa, got his entire country banned from sports because of racism. As the mastermind behind apartheid, he created a system that controlled where people could live, work, and who they could marry, all based on skin color. He even banned mixed-race sports teams. When the International Olympic Committee told him to stop, Verwoerd insisted that only white athletes could represent South Africa. The IOC responded by banning South Africa from the Olympics in 1964. This ban lasted 28 years. 7 Olympics worth of South African athletes couldn't compete. An entire generation lost their chance because their country's leader was determined to enforce racism. The ban wasn't lifted until 1992, after apartheid ended, but Verwoerd never saw this happen. He was stabbed to death in Parliament in 1966 by a messenger who claimed he was following orders from a giant tapeworm inside him. Number 3. The dictator who got his country voted off Eurovision. Belarus got kicked out of Eurovision in 2021, thanks to their leader Alexander Lukashenko. Eurovision has one big rule: no politics. After massive protests against his rule in 2020, Lukashenko decided to use Eurovision as a revenge platform. The state TV station submitted a song called "I Will Teach You." The lyrics were about making protesters toe the line and mocking anti-government demonstrations. It was essentially a diss track to political opponents, broadcast on Europe's biggest stage. Eurovision organizers rejected it and gave Belarus a chance to submit a different song. But Belarus doubled down and submitted another political song. It was like being told not to bring a pet tiger to a party, then showing up with a lion instead. The European Broadcasting Union banned Belarus from the competition entirely. Just like that, one man's stubbornness got his country banned from Europe's biggest singing competition. Number 2. The president who got his country banned from the world. Slobodan Milosevic managed to get Yugoslavia banned from pretty much everything in the 1990s. He started pushing his Greater Serbia idea and ran Yugoslavia so aggressively that the UN Security Council voted 13-0 to cut the entire country off from the world. No trade, no sports, no cultural events, not even scientific conferences. Yugoslavia was completely isolated. The Yugoslav national soccer team had already qualified for the 1992 European Championship, but 10 days before the tournament, they got kicked out. Denmark took their spot and ended up winning the whole thing. Milosevic's reign ended with him being tried for war crimes at The Hague. He decided to represent himself in court, adding one final bad decision to his legacy of turning Yugoslavia into the world's biggest "do not enter" sign. Number 1. The sore loser who got the Gambia blockaded. Yahya Jammeh had been running the Gambia for 22 years. He lived in a palace, had a fleet of fancy cars, and claimed he could cure AIDS with bananas and herbs. In December 2016, Jammeh lost the election to Adama Barrow, a former security guard at a retail store in London. Initially, Jammeh accepted the loss. Then, a week later, he went on TV, rejected the results, and declared he would stay in power. The neighboring West African countries blockaded the entire nation. No ships could enter Gambian waters. No planes could land at their airports. They even sent troops to the border. The Gambia, a tiny country completely surrounded by Senegal, was totally cut off. After 3 weeks, with troops at his doorstep, Jammeh finally gave up. But before leaving, he raided the state treasury. He loaded a cargo plane with his luxury cars and over $11 million in cash. Then he fled the country, leaving the new president to be sworn in at an embassy abroad because Jammeh was still occupying the palace. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.